For 9,000!
What's going on, Diggletdreamers? Mathras here with Alpha Battle Club Week 3 versus GameGirlAbby. If you want to check out her YouTube channel, the link will be in the description down below. Definitely go check her out. She has a few of the previous weeks up on her channel, so some good battles there, so definitely go check them out. But you're probably wondering, hey Mathras, why is this not live? And that is because at the time I was unable to record the battle live. I didn't have the space on my computer for the video, and I also didn't have the opportunity to record it live. I was in the middle, I was like eating dinner, so I just kind of played this. I was just finishing up dinner while I started the battle, so I didn't really have the time to go sit down and record, so I just kind of had to do this battle on the fly. But I don't mind doing it every once in a while. I don't mind doing a post narration. I think it can be sometimes even a little bit more helpful than the live narration, because I can kind of point out important turns and use my hindsight to kind of point out what made or broke the battle, if you know what I mean. But we're at team preview right here. Why don't we just go over it? As you can see, I am bringing Weavile, Slowking, Drapion, Tornadus, Excadrill, and Virizion. I almost forgot the name of Peaches right there. That's because I always call it Peaches. But I'm just running off a standard offensive Weavile. I'm actually running Nasty Plot Slowking just because I've been having fun with that lately. Swords Dance Drapion, Assault Vest Tornadus, Scarf Excadrill, because that really puts in a lot of work against Abby's team. And I'm also running Swords Dance Virizion, so I'm just running an extreme hyper offense team. I do have a little bit of bulk in my Assault Vest Tornadus, as well as the natural defensive bulk of both Drapion and Slowking. But other than that, which isn't really that much, I do have a lot of offensive presence on this team, which is kind of what I want to go for, is just like straight offense. I feel like I can just use predictions and stuff like that to just kind of get around other stuff like that, but we'll see how that works out for me. As I decide to lead off with my Tornadus, I kind of got to team preview and realized I didn't really have a dedicated lead, so I decided to lead with Tornadus because it has a lot of potential to pivot around with U-turn, and I figured it was a good way to start. It does outspeed everything on her team, bar a Scarfer, and I know the Gardevoir is not Scarfed, and typically the only potential Scarfer I see on that team. You know what? I should probably go over her team before I really get into this. Back to team preview. Here we are. She is bringing Jolteon, Chansey, Dusknoir, Gardevoir, which is her Mega. My Mega is Pinsir, but I didn't bring it this time. She's also bringing Vaporeon and Haxorus. Immediately I look at this team and I see that Weavile is going to put in a lot of work. I'm packing the Poison Jab on that thing specifically for Mega Gardevoir. Drapion and Excadrill also putting in a lot of work, able to knock off the Eviolite on the Chansey, big knockoff on the Dusknoir, as well as super effective moves on the Gardevoir as well. Things I'm noticing right away are that Tornadus not really going to be helping me out that much. It does outspeed a lot of stuff, and it can knock off the Chansey, but it does get outsped by the Jolteon, and it doesn't really OHKO anything on my opponent's team. I'm picking Air Slash rather than Hurricane because I realized that going into the match, Hurricane wasn't really going to be that necessary. It's not like I didn't want to chance the thing because Hurricane's so unreliable sometimes that I'd rather have some damage than no damage at all. Virizion has potential to sweep if I can take on the Chansey fairly well if I get up a Swords Dance. Just need to be careful with Dusknoir, honestly. So that's what I was thinking going into this match. Slowking, not really doing that much. Probably just going to be there to take a hit or two, and that's about it. So anyway, back to turn one. She led with Chansey, I led with Tornadus, and I had a feeling right here that Thunder Wave was coming, but I really wanted to knock off this thing's Eviolite, because I knew Chansey would be a huge problem for me if I didn't knock off the Eviolite, despite my 5 out of 6 team members being mainly physical. Well, Tornadus is mixed, but I have a very physical-based team, and Chansey doesn't really take on physical threats that well. But I knew this thing was important to knock off, so I decided to go for the knockoff turn 1, get rid of that Eviolite successfully, but unfortunately my Tornadus is Thunderwave now, which is really unfortunate for it, because that means it doesn't really outspeed anything anymore, and is that much less useful for me. But I decided to stay in there, just go for the U-turn, just to try to get some momentum. She does go for the Stealth Rock, so I decided to go into my Excadrill there. I knew I could put in a lot of damage on this Chansey especially with the Eviolite gone, so I just go for the Earthquake. It does almost half to that Dusknoir. Now I know it's not a KO. Maybe it's a roll, but I don't want to risk my Excadrill getting burned for the potential roll to KO the Dusknoir. So I decided to go into my Tornadus. I know it's paralyzed, that means I can't get burned, which, as you can see right there, the Will-O-Wisp does not affect my Tornadus because I'm already paralyzed. So I knew that was a safe switch. I decided to just, as it goes for the Power Up Punch, which is pretty scary, I decided to just go for the knockoff. It actually is packing the Colbur Berry, so knockoff didn't really work out too well for me. And then the Shadow Punch almost KOs me, so I'm really scared there. I just go for the Air Slash just to try to KO, but as you can see, it just barely misses out on the KO. And right here I'm thinking, crap, my Tornadus is about to go down. Do I want this thing to go down right now? I do want to save it for fodder later on. What I decided to do is that my Drapion is a pretty safe switch on this thing. I know that she's not going for Will-O-Wisp because it doesn't affect my Tornadus at all. I know she's probably just going for the KO. So I know my Drapion can come in, take any one hit. It can take a Shadow Punch or Power Up Punch or anything else she wants to go for, and then can outspeed and KO on the following turn. So that is what I decided to do, is she decides to go for the Shadow Sneak, which does minimal damage, and I'm able to recover a good amount with Black Sludge and KO with Knockoff on the following turn. This is an important turn right here. Haxorus comes in. I know this thing is a huge threat. I can't really let this thing start to set up. If it sets up a Swords Dance, a Dragon Dance, it could potentially just win right now. So I know the important thing for me to do is to stay in and just get damage. So I decided to just go for the knockoff. She does go for the Dragon Dance, and unfortunately I do get a critical hit. I am also Sniper Drapion, which does matter. I did calc it. A normal non-critical hit knockoff will do about 50% to a Dragon Dance Haxorus, assuming it is max attack and speed. So the crit did matter. Even if I didn't have Sniper as my ability as well, the crit would have only done the max of 80%. So it was really important that I was running Sniper Drapion right there. How much it did matter though was it all depended on if the Haxorus had Earthquake or not. If it had Earthquake, it definitely KO'd my Drapion, and then I could have just gone into my Weavile and KO'd it with an Ice Shard. So the only difference is that my Drapion survives to live another turn, and so it was really unfortunate for my opponent, for Abby, that I got a crit there, but I could definitely have played around a Dragon Dancing Haxorus had I not gotten the crit. So one for the philosophers to puzzle about for years to come. So she decides to bring out Chansey here, and I decide I don't want to get Thunder Waved. I want to go into my Excadrill and avoid the Thunder Wave, because I know my Excadrill can take any hit from this thing. It's already so Chansey has already shown the Stealth Rocks and Thunder Wave, and I can predict something like Seismic Tox or a Toxic or anything like that. I know my Excadrill can take any one of those. So I come in on the Thunder Wave, which is really nice for me, and I decide I would like to get rid of these rocks, so I Rapid Spin them away as my opponent does reveal the Seismic Toss. I know this is the time to sack my Tornadus. I know it's not really doing much for me, so I just let it. I figured another Seismic Toss was coming, so when the Stealth Rocks went back up, I was like, oh, I get a chance to attack, but no, I get paralyzed. So the second Seismic Toss is going to finish me off, and I'm going to bring out my Excadrill again, and this time I'm not going to Rapid Spin. I'm just going to go for damage. I have to tank a Seismic Toss, but I'm able to KO the Chansey with the second Earthquake. And now the Vaporeon comes in, and this is why I kept my Slowking around to this point in the battle. I knew from early, at this point I knew I only needed Slowking to take on the Vaporeon. I knew it could, because Vaporeon rarely runs anything besides Scald, Ice Beam, Wish, Toxic, Protect. Those are pretty much the only moves you ever see on a Vaporeon. And I know my what is it called? My Slowking with Nasty Plot can outboost anything it wants to do. I don't think, does Vaporeon even get Calm Mind? I don't think it does. But it can boost to the point where even a Psychic will do enough damage to beat it, despite how bulky it is. So I know my Slowking can take this thing on, and that's why I keep it around. So I bring it in immediately on this Vaporeon, as she does go for the Scald. Thankfully, no burn, and she does go for the Toxic on this next turn. As I just go for the Psychic, I do get a crit and a special defense drop, which is really unfortunate. But I'm just going to keep clicking Psychic. It's nice to get damage on anything, as the Gardevoir does come in and takes that very well. And this is the point where I decide I'm just going to go on my Drapion. I don't really need it anymore, and if it does survive the hit, then I can get some damage off, but obviously it gets blown back by Hyper Voice, because Hyper Voice is so powerful. And here's where I go into my Weavile. This is a really big moment for me, because this is Gingerbread's debut appearance in the battle. I know I'm pretty much getting a KO here no matter what happens. I can pretty much click any move I want, other than, I shouldn't, if I click an Ice type move here I'm a fool, but I can click Knockoff, I can click Poison Jab, and I'm pretty much guaranteed to KO something. If the Jolteon comes in, I Poison Jab it, and then finish it with an Ice Shard. If the Vaporeon comes in, I can probably Poison Jab and finish it with a Knockoff. If the Gardevoir stays in, then I Poison Jab and KO. So this is what my Weavile has been waiting for, the point where the team is at a weak enough point that it can come in and just start KOing things. So she does decide to go into Vaporeon there, as the Poison Jab does a nice amount, and we get the poison. So I'm able to finish off Vaporeon with a Knockoff. At this point I know I don't need my Virizion, I don't need my Slowking, all I need is my Weavile and my Excadrill. Between the two of these Pokemon I can take on the Gardevoir and the Jolteon no problem. So as the Jolteon comes in, I know my best play is to sack my Slowking, because I don't need it, and I don't need my Weavile to take any kind of hit. So she does go for the HP. I believe it was HP Fire. We did discover that after the battle, that it was HP Fire, which my Slowking is able to eat up, and of course it is Choice Specs, so it does have to switch out, and I'm able to get off another Psychic on the Gardevoir, and then I get blown back by another Hyper Voice, because it's the most powerful move, honestly. But then this is pretty much a great moment for me, because I have my Excadrill can also come in and get a kill pretty much whenever now. So I have two Pokemon that are just on a murderous rampage on her team, and she only has two Pokemon left, so she doesn't really have that much choice. I debate going for the Iron Head here, but I eventually calced it and figured out that Earthquake does KO the Gardevoir at this range, so I know I can just click Earthquake for the game. So Earthquake does KO the Gardevoir, and Jolteon, it does come in and is going to go down to the Earthquake. That crit did not matter. So I am able to get a victory over GamerGirlAbby and the Death Valley Wobbuffets. So the Boston Buizels get a win week 3 of the Alpha Battle Club, and GG, well played, GameGirlAbby. Make sure to check her out. Her channel link will be in the description down below. Let's go Boston Buizels. I don't know who we're up against in week 4 yet, but it's going to be a good match no matter what, so make sure to stay tuned, hit that like button, subscribe for more Alpha Battle Club, and keep dreaming. I'll see you next time. Peace.